All right, let's jump straight into this explainer and really demystify the high-stakes cybersecurity landscape in New York City for 2026. If you're a business decision maker operating in the city that never sleeps, understanding the massive shift from basic IT protection over to provable, audit-ready security is exactly what you need to focus on right now.
To kick things off, the sheer scale of this problem is just staggering. $3.2 billion. Yeah, that's billion with a B. That is what cybercrime recently cost New York businesses in estimated damages and penalties. We're talking direct damages, severe business disruption, and of course, massive regulatory fines.
So who exactly is footing that massive bill? Well, with such dense concentrations of critical capital and data, we know exactly who the prime targets are. We're talking about hedge funds, private equity firms, VC-funded tech startups, hospitals, medical research labs, law firms, and insurance giants. Basically, if your organization falls into one of these categories, or actually scratch that, even if you just act as a vendor for them, you are squarely in the crosshairs.
Okay, here's our quick roadmap for today. 1. The threat landscape. 2. The new cost of doing business. 3. NYC's top vendors compared. 4. 6 criteria for choosing. And 5. Real-world business consequences.
Starting off with Section 1, the threat landscape, and why exactly New York is such a prime target.
Look, hackers just aren't limiting themselves to hunting the massive global banks anymore. They are aggressively using ransomware as a service, which is essentially renting out plug-and-play malware toolkits to attack smaller private firms. We're also seeing a huge rise in post-pandemic insider threats thanks to hybrid work, supply chain compromises where your third-party vendors become the soft entry point, and cloud misconfigurations, which, frankly, are continuously leading to massive compliance failures. Moving into Section 2, the new cost of doing business, which is all about navigating strict regulatory pressures.
But, the financial hit from a hack is really only half the story here. The absolutely crucial point is understanding NYDFS 23 NYCRR 500. This has transformed from a mere best practice recommendation into a serious, heavily enforced tool. If you are a financial institution, an insurer, or a licensee operating in New York, this regulation strictly dictates exactly how you must structure your cybersecurity.
To actually stay compliant, you've got to lock down some pretty strict governance measures. You have to perform regular risk assessments, enforce multi-factor authentication across the board, formally designate a Chief Information Security Officer, establish 72-hour incident reporting pipelines, and undergo independent cybersecurity audits. Bottom line, failing to do these things is simply no longer an option.
And the real-world fallout from this, it is immense. Cybersecurity is now a severe governance issue. We're seeing private equity firms literally walking away from crucial M&A deals over failed due diligence. Plus, cyber insurance premiums aren't just creeping up, they're wildly swinging by 30 to 70% depending on a company's security maturity. Oh, and the NYDFS? They're handing out fines of up to $30 million for repeated lapses.
All right, Section 3, NYC's top vendors compared, looking at the 2026 market landscape.
We're seeing a massive paradigm shift in the industry right now. Buying more dashboards and getting flooded with alerts? That's the old, tool-centric way of doing things. The future is an architecture-first approach. It's about building provable, audit-ready infrastructure that actually engineers fixes. You don't just want a vendor who monitors your vulnerabilities and sends you an email. You want a partner who actually engineers the solution.
The source material lays out the ultimate 2026 market landscape for us, comparing the top 6 players. The data really highlights Atlant Security as the architecture-first alternative, making them incredibly effective for SaaS and fintech companies that need VC support. Then you've got Palo Alto Networks, which is your go-to for large enterprise tool integration. Kroll absolutely dominates in forensics, incident response, and litigation support. BlueVoyant is excellent for mid to large firms that need to focus heavily on supply chain risk. LIFARS is the local heavyweight for red teaming and critical post-breach forensics. And finally, IBM Security provides the massive compliance analytics and SIEM tools needed by Fortune 500 infrastructures.
Which brings us to Section 4, 6 criteria for choosing, basically how to evaluate your partner.
So the research lays out 6 incredibly practical, totally jargon-free criteria you absolutely have to demand from your vendor. This ensures they align with your business goals, not just their sales quotas. You need a partner with deep regulatory depth across frameworks like NYDFS and SOC 2. They have to be independent from pushing specific software tools. They should give you access to a virtual Chief Information Security Officer, a VCISO, for direct board reporting.
They need real-world case studies of audit turnarounds, an intense focus on cloud and identity architecture, and finally, strict documentation maturity.
Because at the end of the day, the difference between these vendors isn't just what software they deploy. It's the structural maturity and the audit-ready documentation they leave behind. Honestly, if they leave confusion, they failed. You have to remember, you are always just one subpoena or one audit away from needing your entire security posture clearly written down and proven.
Finally, Section 5, Real-World Business Consequences. What happens when you choose wrong?
These anonymized disastrous scenarios from the research prove that when your architecture fails, the business consequences are just devastating. For example, a fintech firm used a vendor that lacked cloud expertise, failed a SOC 2 audit, and lost a $1.4 million customer. Ouch! A health tech startup had exposed cloud storage, triggering a HIPAA investigation and causing them to lose their entire Series B funding. And a law firm partner clicked a simple phishing link, which actually spiraled into an insider trading lawsuit and an SEC audit.
We didn't need another vendor who monitors logs. We needed someone who could actually fix things. Atlant delivered. That quote from a local fintech CTO featured in the report hits the nail on the head. It perfectly captures why businesses are abandoning log monitoring vendors for those who fix the root architecture. When the survival of your business is on the line, simply getting an alert that a breach is happening isn't enough. Your underlying system has to be resilient from day one.
And check this out. If your security provider can't help you defend your roadmap in front of your board, you need a new one. As this CEO notes, your security partner has to be able to translate cyber risks into clear, investor-ready communication. Security isn't just an IT task anymore, it's a strategic business advantage that executives have to confidently defend in the boardroom.
So I want to leave you with a question to really chew on. In 2026, protecting your data just isn't enough. You have to be able to prove your maturity to regulators, investors, and clients. Take a hard look at your current operations. If an auditor walked in tomorrow, would your security infrastructure actually stand up to the test? Thanks so much for exploring the evolving cybersecurity landscape of New York with me today.